What's going on, everybody? Strike City DMV here to give you a review of the first ABA Ram Open on the Potomac this past weekend here in Maryland. Left out of Smallwood State Park, Marbury, Maryland. Again, it was the first Ram Open ABA, March 25th. So let's get right on into it. I had a boater that was from New Jersey. We had a bunch of New Jersey people down here this weekend for the first Ram Open. He hadn't fished this river in about 5 years. So being that I'm local, I tried to give him some insight on where to go and some of the things that I felt like would make us productive on the water. He had mentioned to me that in practice, he'd been up here for 4 days practicing. That he went south, and he went south to the Aquia area, and I think he said he caught about a 4.5, possible 5-pounder in Aquia on a rattle trap type. It wasn't a Bill Lewis, but a rattle trap type bait. I think it was maybe a booyah rattling crank, lipless crankbait, something like that. Rattle trap type bait. But again, he said he only caught one. He said he went up north. And I didn't have much luck, but he didn't go far. He went a little bit north. He didn't go truly north, in my opinion, to where the fish are biting at. So the thing about this area that I was trying to tell him, over the last month and a half or so, the weather has been unstable. What I mean by that is, one day we'd have 65, 68 degrees. The next day it would be 35. One day it may be 70. The next day it's going to be 40. Like those 25 to 35 degree swings really affect the bass more than what we know. Okay, bass look for stability. And furthermore, this time of year, there's no grass for the most part. Some areas have a little grass that's just starting to replenish and reproduce. Everybody wanted to run down south. Well, I'm going to say everybody, but a lot of people wanted to run down south. He mentioned to me that, he was thinking about going down south, but I told him I strongly suggest we go north because this time of year, the grass just isn't up yet. The bass are predominantly not in the grass. That's what I've been seeing over the last 4 years that I've really been heavily tournament fishing here. They just haven't, this time of year, they're never really in the grass. You catch a lot of good, solid fish, on the bottom, kind of cranking, just doing other stuff, lipless crankbaits. You catch a lot of bass, shaky head. You catch a lot of bass doing the other non-traditional Potomac River stuff. Potomac River is known for the grass, and you can throw vibrating jigs, spinner baits, speed worms, that type of things that work well and allow you to be proficient and make your way through the grass, and allows that bait to be presentable to the fish to where you can come out of the grass and strike your bait. Well, when the grass is only 5 or 6 inches up off the bottom, it doesn't provide any cover for the fish, nor does it provide any type of filtration system for the water. So when you've had a month and a half or 2 months almost of consistently unstable weather, along with pounding winds, small craft advisories, that's going to make for muddy water. So you got unstable water and you've got muddy water. Not good for bass fishing. So I suggested that we go up north. So he said, okay, we'll do up north. So about 2 minutes, after the national anthem, 2 minutes from blast off, he says, hey, I'm really thinking we should start in Aquia. In my mind, I'm like, oh God, here we go. It's gonna be a long day. So, I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm confident all over the river, no matter where I go. If you want to go to Aquia, that's fine. I've already given you my recommendation. So it is what it is. So we shoot to Aquia. Boom. Cool guy. Me and him about the same age. We shoot to Aquia. He's got a decent bass cat boat, 250 on it. We shoot to Aquia. Boom. We're first flight, 14th boat. Right. get to Aquia, then we fish for about a good 20-25 minutes. Here comes more boats, more boats, more boats. Before you know it, it's a party in Aquia. It's about 30 boats in Aquia, and you know, we're off to the right of them, to the 30 boats. We're fishing in about 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water. I can look at his Lowrance HDS 9. The grass is maybe up a couple, you know, inches off the bottom. We're not getting any play. We're not seeing any activity. There's no birds. I don't see any bait on this graph. It's just dry. So we fished that for about an hour. Then we joined the party about 400 or 500 yards to our left, to the community area of Aquia that is normally produces by the beach area. Everybody that's local of a fished Aquia or whatever, you know, the beachy area of Aquia, everybody fishes it. It's about 30 to 35 boats. Nobody caught a thing. We went over there for 3 hours, 3.5 hours solid. Not a bite, not a nothing. And that wasn't just our boat. We were looking around. Nobody caught a thing. Finally, my boater was like, you know what? I think I made a mistake. I should have listened to you. You know, I can't take it anymore. And I'm thinking in my mind, yeah, you should have listened. So he was like, you want to make the run? I'm like, I've been ready for the run. You know, I'm ready to catch some fish. I'm not here to fun fish. I'm trying to cash a check. And, you know, you change up the game plan. It's not really cool. You know, I fished the river, you know, consistently for the past 3 months. North, didn't get anything. I'm sorry, south, didn't get a thing. So that's why I've been focusing on up north for the last, you know, 3 months, because I know what's up north. I know what's going on with the river for the most part, by and large. You know, I'm sure people caught some fish down south, but it just wasn't tournament winning bags for the most part. So we make the run from Aquia all the way up to Blue Plains. So that's about a 40-45 minute run. So we gun it on a Bass Cat with the 250 Pro XS. We hit it. You know, we're doing 65, almost 70. We get there in about 44 and 45 minutes, maybe a little less, but we were moving. So we get there, and immediately we start in the Blue Plains area. We're like maybe 60 to 80 yards off of, I call it the Justin Lucas dock. It's really not the Justin Lucas dock, but everybody knows it because he just won, well, not just won, but last year he won the Elite on the Potomac, just on that dock in Blue Plains with a drop shot, killing him, and the Senko, weightless Senko. So we're there no longer than 4 minutes, and we see this other boat, the pleasure boater, and he's just whacking them. He's cut 3 in a row. They don't look very big, but it's just the fact that he's there. Immediately his HDS 9 lights up. There's bait balls everywhere. We can see fish. It's just crazy. I was like, it's not gonna be long before we get on. So we kind of migrate around to the back side of that Justin Lucas dock. So we're on the riprap, fishing the riprap, and then we start to throw into the back side of the dock. Before you know it, wham, he's slammed, and he's throwing a shaky head, and he gets slammed, and I'm throwing a drop shot, didn't get anything. You know, we cruise down the dock a little bit further. Next thing you know, wham, he gets slammed again. The first fish was a keeper for him, probably about a 2.5 pounder, 2 3/4. It was a good fish. The next one was not a keeper. All right, but by then he's got 2 in a row off of, you know, like in 4 casts, he's got 2 fish on the shaky head. I'm still throwing a drop shot. Okay, so at this point, I'm like, you know what, let me change. So this was the bait that he was throwing. It's a Zoom Finesse trick worm in the black grape color. He had a black shaky head. This is I use a either a Riot Baits shaky head predominantly, or I would use a Mega Strike shaky head. This is a Mega Strike shaky head right here, 3/16 ounce, and again, this is a Zoom Finesse worm in the black grape color. When I tell you they were inhaling these baits, like they were inhaling these baits. The bait was like literally halfway down the fish's mouth, and the shaky head bite was on. So before you know it, once I tie the shaky head on, within like 8-9 casts, boom, I catch it like almost a 3 pounder, 2.5, 2 1/4, probably like more closer to 2.5. But it was a keeper. Now this time of year, unfortunately, it's 15 inches. So a lot of the other fish that we were catching were normal keepers, but because it's this time of year, they're not keepers. You got to be 15 inches. So again, I'm throwing a shaky head. I catch 2 more on a shaky head. They're about 14 inches. So I was a little bummed out about that. One was 13 3/4, and one was like 14 3/4 as well. It was almost 15. I was trying to stretch the tail fan. I couldn't get it. It just wasn't 15. So I throw him back. He gets slammed on, and again he's got another keeper, about a 2-pounder. In my mind, we got to the dock too late. The quality was, in my mind, it would have been better quality there at high tide. I've caught my biggest fish the last couple months on the high tide, but on the outgoing tide, I've been catching numbers. But again, we've got action. We're catching fish. The next couple passes back and forth, I caught another 14-incher on this bait. This is a Bandit 200 in the green speckled craw. It's like a green pumpkin color on top, orange belly, and I just upgraded the hooks with the KVD 2x strong, 2x short treble grips. So I got smacked off of that, just casting up underneath that dock because they were clearly chasing bait. And we could see them as we were cast up under the dock. I'm sorry. As we come out, we could see the fish come out from the shadows of the dock and grab the shaky head and go right back up in there. The keeper that I caught almost pulled the rod out of my hand. I thought he was way bigger than what he was, but he was very strong. He was digging. The fish were biting pretty good. All right. I hooked into another nice chunky 2-pound fish. I thought he was way bigger than that. He was like 13 3/4, maybe 14 inches or so. I was very disappointed. I thought he was a monster. I thought he was a giant. He hit way back up underneath the dock. I flipped a jig up underneath there. Normally I catch monsters with jigs. So the jig I was throwing was a Riot Baits Instigator jig, and this is like a the color is like I forget the name of the color, but it's black, blue, and a little green pumpkin in the skirt. I believe this is a 3/8 ounce head, and I have a green pumpkin Riot Baits crawl on the back of it. So that's pretty much basically what I was throwing from a jig perspective. Again, this is a Riot Baits Instigator jig, and this is a Riot Baits crawl or fuzzy beaver that I was throwing on the back as a trailer in green pumpkin, and I got smashed on that. Unfortunately, they just weren't keepers. They were, just under 15 inches. So I wanted to, if it was up to me, he listened to me, we would have had, both of us had our keepers, and we could have pretty much big fish for the rest of the day. I had a couple spots that I wanted to hit in that area. One of them was the spoils. I've heard from guys coming back at the weigh-in that the spoils was a parking lot. Everybody was in there. But the thing about up north, and the reason why the smart boaters, in my opinion, went north first and pretty much probably camped out up there. There's power plants all over the place. There's 2 of them up there, but that water is clean water. It's very clean water. It's stable. Water. What I mean by stable, the water has been consistently in that 53 to 63 range for the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months because of the power plants that's there. So that water is not only clean, you can see down the visibility about 2 feet, and sometimes 2 feet or more at times, depending on where you're at up there. But it's stable. The water's warm. They're biting. High tide, when there's 6 feet up on that dock, a little bit 6 to 8 feet up underneath that dock in Blue Plains, we would have smashed them. There's no doubt in my mind. I think some people may have got some good keepers off that dock, and they got some good keepers off the backside of the riprap in Blue Plains. And I think some people got some good ones out of the spoils. It's because we got some good bags that came in. But for the most part, nobody I know really killed them down south. I'm sure somebody catches them, but somebody always catches them. But the locals that I know that I really respect, like Russell, Michael Rosselle, he's a really good sticker out here. I respect him, cool guy. Ronald Tukes, like those guys. Like I really respect those guys. They can fish. Bill Hamilton. Bill Hamilton is a pretty good guy. He's known out here. He makes great swim jigs. So check his swim jigs out. Bill Hamilton's custom swim jigs, the Thunder jigs. They're great. So check them out. Those guys did pretty decent in the tournament. I know Russell. I think Russell finished like second. Bill Hamilton. I think he finished at least in the top 15, top 20. I think actually no, not top 20, top 15. I think he may have been like 11 or 12 or 13. He was up there too. So it just goes to show you to the boaters out there. Like if you're unfamiliar with an area, haven't been there in 5 years, and you've got a co-angler that clearly fishes a lot, and he has a lot of knowledge on the river, as opposed to you not having that knowledge on the river, and he's local, and he says he's been fishing it consistently for the last 3-4 months, you should listen to him. So I applaud my boater for, manning up and saying, hey, you know what, I jacked it up. I should listen to you. Let's make that run. Because it's a 40, 45-minute run. The average older guy, not that he was old, because he's, me and him were basically the same age. The average person wouldn't have made that run. They would have just kind of, used their excuses or, whatever. Too much pride wouldn't allow them to say, you know what, I'm wrong. I should have went up north and listened to you. They would have just hung around where they at, where they're familiar, and tried to fish it. And it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. The grass is not up and down south yet. This is not the time of year to really bang them down south. This is the north time of year. Later on, late April, early May, that grass is up. That's when you start to hit those areas down south and you start to bang them. But right now, it's just not the time of year for that. So, pretty much that's my review. My setups, for the most part, I threw my jig on a 7-foot medium heavy, Lew's TP1 speed stick, 15-pound Seaguar Tatsu line, and this is what I had my jig on. This is the Ride Baits again, instigator jig with a fuzzy beaver in the green pumpkin color trailer. I had that on the Lew's TP1 speed stick. My cranking setup is a TP1 speed stick, medium action, 12-pound Seaguar and VizX, and that's what I was throwing my Bandit 200 on. And the shaky head was thrown on a medium action halo rod with a Shimano. Which one is this? Shimano Saros reel. And I went a 10-pound braid. I used 10-pound spider wire to I believe it's either 10-pound Seaguar and VizX leader for my shaky head setup. Maybe 12, but I don't go no higher than 12. Yeah, most likely it's 10. But I don't go no higher than 12 for my leader, because the water is murky in a lot of areas. On the Potomac has a natural murkiness to it, so fluorocarbon is pretty much invisible, and the VizX is some of the best line you can get. So you can go a little bit higher at times. Potomac bass tend to be a little bit more stronger and a little bit bigger. So that's the most part. Also, I caught one more fish that was a smaller one on a new bait that I'm trying out. I really like it. I was using a shaky head, but I was fishing a Yamamoto Psycho Dad. So Yamamoto makes all type of baits, great baits. It's black and blue color. I caught one on that under the dock as well. So I think I caught 5. I caught 5, I believe. 4 or 5. Caught 4 or 5. Only one kept. My boater caught like 6, maybe 7, and 3 of his kept. So I put my boater on fish. So as a co-angler, I kind of got a handle on what's going on. I fished a lot in these areas, up and down the East Coast, a lot. I fished a lot, so I don't always know exactly what's going on, but I've got a pretty good idea what's going on, because it's a lot of times when I get to these river systems and lakes, it's not the first time I've been there. It's like the 10th, 11th, 12th or time or more that I've been there. So, but that's my review. I ended up getting the co-angler's winning weight was 13 pounds, You know, had we been out there, I feel like I could have got 13 pounds easily. But you know, I'm riding, so I gotta live and die by, you know, boaters that don't listen sometimes. So it is what it is. Out of 250 points for first place, I think I finished. It had me in like 34th or 36th, 37th. I don't know. It was like 36th, 37th place or something like that for my 2 1/4, 3 pound or whatever. But I got 214 points for that one fish out of a possible 250. So, you know, that's cool. I'll take it. You know, the next ABA Ram Open is going to be on the Upper Chesapeake Bay or Upper Bay. Looking forward to that. Big fish out there. My next tournament review will probably be the BFL on Kerr Lake in Henderson, North Carolina. Got a lot of experience fishing there. As I told you in my last video, grew up, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours from that area. Fished it many times. There's not too many places, you know, on this East Coast that I haven't fished that I'm gonna be just, you know, completely, you know, dumbfounded by, because I fished it, almost all of it. But hopefully I get a good boater, good draw that, you know, we get on them early. I got an idea of what I need to do there. It's a rock lake predominantly, which is, you know, one of my strengths. And hopefully I can whack them and get a check. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Need any more tips, anything? If I don't have the answer, I'll be happy to get the answer for some of the local pros, semi-pros, whatever, that people that I know that really are great fishermen that I look up to, and I'll get you the answer. So check my Instagram out. Hopefully I can get everything, get my subscribers and followers up. Thank you all again. Tight lines.